And Bill is going to start us out with prayer, so please stand.
We should join with the ambulance in prayer. But to go about with any thanks and blessing to this day of this love which work in our community. We ask your spirit to be upon us to bless our Lord. You be to murder, you meal. To bless this food, take it to nourish our bodies and keep us this day in your peace. To the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. I don't need it to be plugged in anymore, so we can open that table. Yeah.
That's your announcement. But okay, and Richard's gonna lead us to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, and with all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, couple of things you need to cover before we get to our speakers. The bucket money is still being collected for the Rotary Club of Kerrville. Bucket is over there by your badges. The first week we collected $140. Last week we collected $1. So let's if you can remember, you drop your badge off, drop a little money in the bucket. Next week is our social. So we are changing it up a little bit. We're going to meet at Two Mules Cantina, which is at the Texan Court Hotel. They have a great happy hour. I went there and checked it out for all y'all. I took one for the team. So you're welcome. But they have a really good happy hour from 4 to 6. So we are meeting there from 4:30 to 6:30. It will look like you have to pay for parking. There's signs that say scan the QR code to park, but when you scan it, it says 2 hours free. So just let you know that.
That's on Tuesday.
That is on Tuesday, 4:30 to 6:30. So no meeting next Thursday. The next thing, Bill just told me that we built flags and built 60 flags before 9 o'clock in the morning. So great work, team. Good job. Okay, there's a couple of, since we're not meeting next week, there's a couple of things I need to tell you about. The Rotarian networking event is going to be August 12th from 5 to 7:30. A lot of people said that they joined Rotary for networking. So this is an opportunity to network with fellow Rotarians. It is at the 12 Cuts Brazilian Steakhouse in Dallas, August 12th, 5 to 7:30. So Ryan and I have been talking a lot about how to grow membership and how to get more people coming to this club. One of the things we have to do is raise awareness. So I'm really focusing on trying to raise awareness of our Rotary Club. Once people know how great monthly we are, I'm sure they'll want to join. So there is an event next August 12th, same day as the networking, but this one's in the morning. From 8:30 to 10:30, it's the Hispanic Chamber Nonprofit Day. They have invited us to be one of the nonprofits at that day. So we're going to have a table there. I'm going to need to get some volunteers willing to sit at the table and tell people about the Rotary Club. I think this would be a great opportunity for us to introduce ourselves to the urban community and hopefully get some more members from them. It is at the Jack Huffman Auditorium, 801 West Irving Boulevard. Yes. Yes. So do I have any volunteers to work that booth? Last, thank you. Awesome. It is August 12th, 8:30 to 10:30. You can set up at 8 a.m. So do we have tablecloths or anything like that? Do we have a tablecloth or anything that we can take to things like that, or no? No. Okay. Do you have that class? Somebody has it? Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about that on the side. But the one before that same day is the Rotarian networking event. It is from 5 to 7:30 p.m. at 12 Cuts Brazilian Steakhouse. Tuesday, August 12th, the Hispanic Chamber event is in the morning from 8:30 to 10:30 at the old library. There's also the Chamber 5-Star Mixer is August 21st from 4:30 to 6 here at Las Colinas Country Club. We can pay $10 and have someone represent us at that and talk to people about the Rotary. So that's another way to raise awareness. If anybody's willing to do that, you can. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, for sure. Okay. All right, moving on. The only other thing I have is, we are going to have a table also raising awareness at the Toyota Irving Chamber event, which gets about 400, 500 people. It's a pretty big event at Toyota Irving. I asked him if we could have a table at that, so we're going to have a table there also.
When is that?
That is not until October 22nd, so we have plenty of time to talk about that. Last thing, K9 Companions graduation is next Friday. If anybody wants to attend that, it is at noon at our campus on Las Colinas Ridge. So, moving on. Today we have Max, and I don't see Theresa yet, so I guess Max, you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So Max is here to talk to us. She attended the Rotary International Convention in Calgary, and she's going to come tell us all about it and what we can look forward to for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much. So if you look on the screen, you'll see Theresa actually is joining us.
Hi, Theresa. Hi, Theresa.
Hey, Theresa. She did all the work in putting this presentation together, so I'm very grateful to her. But she has had a business meeting that starts at 12:30, so she can only join us for a short period of time. So good to have her here, and thank you for all she did. How many of you have been to an international conference in Rotary? Has anybody? The international conference is a blast. This is probably my 18th or so.
Actually, you're gonna get the whole there. Can't hear you.
All right,
There.
I can hear me now, and I don't hear voice. Rotary International Convention is always so fascinating because you have people from all over the world gathering together, thousands, tens of thousands. This year we had 16,000 people. And Calgary was such a beautiful, beautiful location to have it. So maybe we can bring up the PowerPoint.
It's on, yeah,
It's on there, but it's not over there.
and I was sharing.
So while he's bringing it up,
Sorry.
reference, there were 16,000 people there this year. It seems that since COVID happened, not as many people come. I know for some people in foreign countries, it's harder for them to get their visas. But I've been to conferences before with 4,000 people. So San Antonio, that's not, I guess it was early 2000s. 140 different countries were represented. And when you see in this picture, a lot of people like to wear their native costume. Now, I don't know where Shane is today, but can you, oh, Shane, I'm sorry. Can you believe there was a Rotarian in a kilt there? Had to get his picture. And then you can see one of the ladies from the African country. She had the most stunning outfit, stones and everything else on it that Theresa and I were able to get a picture with. Maybe if we can go full screen, you can see the thing. So as far as Calgary goes itself, and we'll move on to the next slide. Calgary's home to over 240 different ethnic groups, and there's 165 languages spoken across all households. Now, I remember we used to hear about all the languages in Irving, right, Patty? But I think they beat us on that. Yeah. How many languages are spoken in? Okay, I'm sorry, I got you right in the reading. I'm not sure. Okay, Patty used to talk about all the languages that were spoken whenever we were at the city here in Irving, and Calgary has quite a bit of them. Moving on to the artwork, this was a picture that I took in front of one of the office buildings. And it's a sculpture, and just to give you an idea of size, down in her neck. If a person was standing in there, just her neck is probably 7 foot tall. Huge. And it's called Wonderland. It's a portrait of a young girl who lives in the artist's native, the artist who did this was from Barcelona. It depicts her head because it represents humanity as well as the human potential created and fostered by our dreams. So I thought that was very fitting to be there while we are having an international convention talking about peace and opportunities and so forth. So it's really beautiful. As far as the population of Calgary, about 39% identify as minorities, making it one of the highest proportions in Alberta. And back to that picture right there, there was a Lions Park and a Rotary Park, but both of them were kind of at the top of the hill. And there were us that went in together and rented 2 condos side by side. And this was a short walk from where we were staying, and just an absolutely beautiful view of the city, all the diversities it has. So next slide. Calgary itself is at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, right before the entrance to Banff. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go on, but just their artwork in the community was unbelievable. Some of the promenades, street walks, and so forth that you can see in this picture. And the thing that they have in common with us is they also are home to quite a bit of oil reserves and production. So they've got some similarities with Texas, but not when it comes to. The weather. The weather. It's also the home to many tribes and indigenous peoples in Canada, and those indigenous groups are known as the First Nations. We were addressed by 2 of them, and in their comments, they spoke about living in harmony with the environment and with each of their groups having respect for all things and all people, which tied in very closely with the themes that we were talking about in the next slide. If you look at this fair, so it was on the grounds of the convention site. You look at the very center, you can see the Rotary wheel. So Calgary really did go all out. Their Rotary clubs did a great job. Speaking of which, they have 13 Rotary clubs in Calgary itself, and more than 45 in Southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. So they've got a great representation. When you look at Rotary International overall, we've got 1.2 million members, and we're spread among 46,000 different clubs. Next. There were a couple of announcements that were made at the conference. One of them is that a peace building initiative is being launched in Cambodia. We heard a speaker on that. And also there's going to be the formation of a new Rotary Peace Center in India, partnership with the Symbiosis International University. So 2 great pieces of news. In that other picture, in those grounds on Monday, they had huge pancake breakfast. Pancakes and sausage for everybody. And all they asked for was a donation to Rotary Foundation. So Rotary Foundation was being pressed and recognized too throughout the speakers. Now, you might recognize Stephanie Urchik as our just recently outgoing Rotary International president. She's from Pennsylvania, but I know she's got family in the Austin area. I got to know her a few years ago when we were at Sun together. Moving on to the next slide. So when Stephanie stepped on the stage, she welcomed everybody with a huge Yahoo, which is very well used in the Calgary area. In fact, there's numerous signs of Yahoo. People were taking pictures amongst letters and so forth. But she started the conference that way. Calgary's known for its stampede, and so there's another similarity with us. Their stampede, their rodeo, their whole environment recognizes kind of industry. So as a result, there was what they called the White Hat Night, and they encouraged all the Rotarians to wear a white hat to the event. And there, you saw a lot of white hats the entire conference, but I just want again to draw attention to Irving. For those of you who were at the 4th of July celebration, picture on the right is Irving's cowboy hat. And we had the most drums in, we set a world record with the drums making the cowboy hat in the 4th of July celebration, or actually just July down at the park. And so Irving has its own fame with its world record cowboy. Next slide. Gina Davis was one of our presenters at the conference. I didn't know this, but as she pursued her acting career, she began to notice that a lot of the leading roles went to men. And she correlated it with the fact that a lot of women weren't getting involved in STEM programs because they didn't have a role model to kind of set the example. And so she founded an organization that helps drive having more women in TV and movie roles as scientists in various professions that aren't your typical professions. And what they have been able to find from the research is now girls are pursuing these careers more often than they did in the past. And it's because they see a role model and they want to be like that person that they saw on TV. Next. We also heard from, and I'm not very good with pronunciation, but let's just say Miss Carmen, who was the Nobel Peace Prize winner. She's a women's rights champion. She had a very vivid message to give on peace building throughout the world. This was held in June. So she had some strong words to say about all countries who were involved in any type of conflict. She did call out the United States a little bit, and she did encounter people walking out during that time. But she also had a great message about how important it is to build relationships amongst all peoples and all countries. And we heard from, I'm going to call him Dr. Tedros. He is the director of the World Health Organization. And he talked about how vital Rotary has been in eradicating polio. That's been our #1 project since 1988. And we have polio down to where live polio is only active in 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. We've been having a hard time making a lot of inroads there. It's gotten better, but some of the numbers are coming up again in those countries because they don't always trust the people giving the vaccines, that the vaccines won't cause more. And so it's become a little bit It has become a little political to give vaccines in these countries. But he has said, due to the work that Rotary International has done, an estimated 20 million cases of the paralysis have been avoided. And he promised we will continue this work until we fully learn. Next slide. And we also heard from Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates did not show up. He was there by video, but he renewed his partnership with Rotary International. If you don't already know, he provides we have a total of $450 million in funding to fight polio. He grants us 2 to 1. Every year he tells Rotary International, this is 3 years, so that's how you get to the 450. Every year he tells Rotary International, you will raise $50 million. I will double what you did. So we put in 50 million, he puts in 100 million. And he said, so we have 150 and it's a 3-year grant, so that's the 250. But it really is important, all the work that he's done. And I heard recently on the news, he's falling off of the charts of one of the wealthiest persons because he is literally giving so much of it away. So congratulations to him on that. And our next slide. Our new president is Francisco Theresa. And you might have noticed in Laura's newsletter that she said he was just recently selected. Typically, Rotary selects governors and international presidents 2.5 years in advance. I always said they think we need a whole lot of training, and they give us a whole lot of training. And so 2.5 years ago, our selection was, yes, trying to get to my right page and use some cheats to get there. So 2.5 years ago, Mario Cesar Martinez de Camargo was selected to be Rotary International President. He's from Brazil. And he had started all of his prep work and in June 8th, after good 2.5 years of prep, he announced that he was having some health, family, business challenges and was not going to serve. So Rotary actually has a plan set up for that. What they do, if the president has not yet taken office, the rules are different if he's already, but if he or she has not yet taken office, then they go back and they look at the pool of finalists whenever that president was selected. And so when they did that, one of the individuals that was in the pool had already passed away. A second one has already been selected to serve next year. So that narrowed the pool down, and Francisco was selected. I was asked, has something like this happened before? Actually, just in 2018, the incoming Rotary International president, who I believe was from South Africa, was needing surgery. It's a strange story. He trusted the medical advancements that we have here in Dallas. He came to Dallas for the surgery, and he actually passed away in the surgery. And so they went through a similar type process then. So Rotary is prepared for whatever happens. I don't mean to be a downer on all these stories, but we are prepared to be sustainable and go on into the future. Fortunately, our President Francisco did choose to continue with the Unite for Good theme because everything had already been printed this year. So we will continue with that. And Rotary is changing the way they do the theme. It's not necessarily going to be change every year as it has in the past. So I'm hopeful that we'll continue this theme for a little bit longer. And then our next slide. So part of the fun of going to these conferences is there's some events, local entertainment, And so we had dancing horses, we had dancers, we even had a lariat, lit lariat performed for us. We had all kinds of cool things in the opening and ceremony entertainment. So you hear a lot about what is being done worldwide in accomplishing the Rotary initiatives, and you see people who have just done fabulous things across the world, but you also get a lot of fun entertainment. Next slide. Our ending ceremonies was actually a concert, a rock concert, kind of country rock, and fabulous to be entertained by. They were really, really good. And for security reasons, most of us were separated and getting onto the main floor, but the VIPs were not. And they were in the middle of the floor dancing and just having a great time. Next slide. There were a lot of social events to get to know your fellow Rotarians. Like I said, there were 16,000 people there. So just to find the people you know could be challenging. The picture to your left is the wide gathering that we had. If you take a swath down the middle of Canada and the United States, that's kind of the zone that we are a part of here. And then the picture to the right is the district gathering that we have in the evenings, and you can see our PDG. Well, that was kind of, I guess, the royalty table going on there, because you have past district governor John Curtis along with our current district governor Mary Dusky both sitting there, and of course you can see the cowboy hats often in these pictures. Next one. I think that to justify the fact that Rotary International has these conventions in all its foreign countries, you really need to take in the foreign countries too. Lake Louise is someplace that I put on my bucket list 35 years ago. When I was in public practice, the managing partner of our firm went to a conference in Banff, and he came back so excited talking about Lake Louise and Spirit Island. Now, I thought Spirit Island was at Lake Louise. I learned differently, but we got to take it all in. So this is a picture of Lake Louise. We got to it right after a storm, well, not after, as a storm was passing through. So a couple of us did just put on, just get over the fact that it was raining and walk around the lake anyway and got drenched. Theresa was a little smart. She said, I'm going to watch y'all inside the shout. So next slide. Even though I thought Lake Louise was going to be the highlight, Lake Lorraine was the most beautiful sight you can ever imagine. It's a smaller lake nearby. And the water is just so clear, and therefore it reflects the mountains so well. And Theresa gave us some good advice when we got there, because she'd been to both before. You go to the next slide. She said, we need to canoe while we're here. Don't wait for Lake Louise. And we canoed out there for an hour. And it was, I mean, just to be in the midst of that beauty and out on the water was calming and enjoyable. Next slide. Also did some sightseeing. So what I learned is Spirit Island, that my former partner talked about so much, was really almost 4 hours away from Lake Louise. And it's one of the most photographed islands in the world. You can see the picture on the right. And I and Susan Blanco, who was from Colinas Clubs, ventured out there one day, and well, actually a couple of days we landed in this night trip. But absolutely beautiful, and I was so excited to finally get to see that. On the way back, there was a glacier that you could take this huge, it was like a 6-wheel drive bus up to, and the wheels themselves, each of the wheels was this tall. But we took the bus, got to drive it up the glacier, and then they reached a point where they let us out and we could walk around on the glacier. So again, some fabulous things to see and do there. And finally, it wouldn't be complete with the tripping mountains if you didn't see some wildlife. And I know that the Rotary Center was kind of blocking some of this, but we saw moose, deer, all eagles, just every type of wildlife, and just rolled down the window and took a picture because they're everywhere. You can see behind him, the trees are kind of scorched. That area around Lake Mead and Jasper, terrible fires last year, and they just reopened roads in April, which I was quite grateful for. So, next slide. Our Rotary convention next year is going to be in Taipei, Taiwan. A few years ago, I was supposed to have an all-expense paid trip there as district governor. Didn't get to take that trip, and now I get to go on my own. But I have already signed up for Taipei because I kind of want to see what I missed. And like I said, our theme is going to be Unite for Good, and I'll be happy to take any questions you might.
How did they deal with the different languages?
So every conference I've ever been to, I've even been in Seoul, South Korea, English is typically the basic language that they speak. And if you are not fluent in English, you can get the headphones with the translator to make sure you don't miss comments or deliveries or anything like that. It always starts, there's usually some sort of event on Saturday night. That was rodeo for Rotarians. And then the opening ceremonies on Sunday, the closing ceremonies on Wednesday. Typically on Monday and Tuesday, you have a big general session in the morning and breakout sessions in the afternoon. I like to attend the morning sessions. They're just unbelievable. Rotary is about so much more that there's even time to get an idea of what our meetings to really get full understanding and appreciation of what it does. You need to attend an international conference. But afternoons in the breakout sessions, a lot of the information, and not all of it, but a lot of it is going into greater detail. It's going into greater detail of things that you hear in general sessions, or it's going into greater details of things that you can get online from the RI.org. If y'all haven't been to the learning page and you want to know anything more about Rotary, be it foundation or how to be secretary for a club, or to be president for a club, all of that information is there. So I like to use the afternoons to explore the area and get to meet some of the other Rotarians. When I went to the conference in Seoul, South Korea, one of the opening speakers said, make it a point to meet new people. Challenge yourself to see how many new people you can meet. And so that's when Crystal Mathis was, Carolyn Mathis was out on us, and I was incoming. And she and I were there together, and we just went up to everybody we could and took a picture with them and their name badge so that we could see how many we could come up with. It was fun just doing that.
What were Theresa's impression? This is a new Rotarian. How did she react to all that?
You know, Theresa is very low key, but she had a great time. I think she was impressed by what I don't think put words in her mouth, but I know she's all fine now for her meeting. But just in case she reacts this, I asked her that when you see her. But I think she had a good time. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. You treated me with that 50 million and then Katie smashing that. How many years has he done that?
I don't know the answer to your question, but I think it's been a few decades.
For 5.
I think it's been more than that.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been decades. Yeah.
So you mentioned Afghanistan, Pakistan, did they not mention, Kenya or some of the African countries?
It's dropped off there.
Yeah.
They are considered polio free.
So Afghanistan, is that more political, military, and with the tribes? And it's Pakistan, did anybody get into the kind of?
They get in, but sometimes there's some stories that are told at some of the meetings about, and I can't remember if it was Afghanistan or Pakistan, but where some of the women of the country actually talk to their husbands in leadership to talk them into let these local women take the vaccines. There are so many trust challenges. Sometimes rumors are spread that these are just foreign country people coming in and trying to hurt you, mutilate you. And so you have to get over those false stories. And whenever I was starting my training for district governor, there were actually 3 countries. India, country we talked about.
And we do have some of the rates on a very national talk about.
Great, wonderful.
Such great, we've been given 1,500 for other. Here.
Yeah.
For getting that 45.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet, you bet. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
We we're thrilled that you and Theresa represented our club. Thank you for doing that. At this point, we have Buddy that's going to lead us in the 4-way test. If you have an announcement, Pat, wait 1 second.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build a better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And Patty has an announcement real quick before we go.
It books sale on Saturday at Friends Warehouse, 3,000. It's a puzzle, focus the laws. Here, to break it in, sell, we have hundreds of, most things are involved. So, please, it's Saturday.
Any other announcements? We are adjourned.